Toto Wolff has given very unexpected help to the FA's extraordinarily modern-day modifications concerning the swearing codex of the F1 drivers, and it looks like there may be some struggle of hobby among the team thoughts and their non-public drivers, at the equal time as it's far smooth to understand that, in the heat of the moment, a cursed word can slip out of your mouth. Wolff is backing up the assist of the FIA to punish drivers with the beneficial useful resource of deducting factors for causing ethical damage to the marshals or any FIA-ass accomplice with this in thoughts. Is Wolff such as fuel to the fireplace to what is already a huge controversial rely to the F1 International? And greater importantly, wherein does this deliver? The F1 drivers, one of the modern-day clampdowns from the FIA is revolving throughout the drivers' swearing codex, which has been mentioned pretty masses in the course of 2024. However, the new suggestions, which is probably set to take vicinity from Barcelona onwards, are genuinely scary for the F1 drivers due to the fact we're talking about ability factors to auction from the usage of stresses championship. The maximum controversial component is that a penalty can be given if the FIA makes a selection that positive words or sentences via an F1. The use of strain have triggered moral damage to the FIA's officials, because the ruling states any terms, deeds, or writings which have triggered moral damage or loss to the FIA. It's our bodies, its contributors, or its authorities' officials, and extra generally on the interest of motorsports and on the values defended through the FIA. Because of this, it is now not simply swearing, however moreover body language acts and writings that fall into the beauty of offending an FIA-associated partner if the using pressure commits 2 offenses. Interior, a 2 to 365 days duration. Then fines will arrive at the porch. However, if he does it for a 3rd time, it is able to bring about the deduction of an undisclosed variety of World Championship factors and a potential activation of the on-month suspension that allows you to be granted in a suspended manner in the course of the 2nd penalty. All of this does sound a chunk difficult, but Wolff believes that the FIA is shifting in the right path, and at the same time as Speak Me approximately, the Austrian stated, I suppose we need to look emotions inside the automobile, and there are strategies of showing that, or now not, we truly have a responsibility towards all of the spectators, and I accept as true with mainly the non-neighborhood ones, the British frequently do no longer recognize how grave or how nuanced a phrase can be in that understand any initiative is right. And if we prevent a number of that awful swearing that is tremendous. Wolff has been one of the crew principals who is pretty vocal regarding swearing, as he advised the F1 media that his drivers are not allowed to apply foul language in the front of him because it's offensive and it isn't always wanted in any respect, but to anticipate that the drivers will act like gents at the same time as a few trouble ought to no longer skip their manner. In the heat of the moment is a bit of a much-fetched state of affairs mainly now in 2025, while there are lots of expectations that we might be searching at the maximum competitive season, in years notwithstanding the truth that Wolff is adamant that the region for swearing is actually now not on this sport, and he is felt on his very private pores and skin, that the impact of F1 drivers is then pasted onto the younger technology of drivers as a ways away as those in flow into cart, whilst talking approximately his private instance of getting a very more youthful little one the use of the word because he observed it from the F1 drivers. Wolff stated, I honestly have a difficulty about the swearing. Like George stated, he has an 8 to 365 days antique nephew who pass carts and watches all of that. I clearly have a comparable 7-were vintage that skip carts and watches everything. It's far the #1 time some months within the beyond that. My teen said what the F and I stated, wherein did you pay interest? That from, he said, from the drivers. I even have my very, very personal conflicts with Mohammed. However, in that instance, the drivers, they alare function fashions and are on air. They're entitled empowered, and it's miles agreed with many other things. They had been very interesting feedback on social media regarding the sudden resource from Wolff, closer to the actions of the FIA, with many believing that when he's no longer a part of Mercedes, he might be proactive in securing a characteristic inside the governing body and stay a part of F1 in an extra commanding way. But we cannot flip a blind eye to all of the changes that passed off in Formula One currently. And whether or not or no longer we find it irresistible or not, it is simply too and lousy lot stuff taking area in a completely short span of time without the F1 drivers or the GPDA being consulted about it, that changed into introduced to the attention of Ben San. But his response changed into fierce, "You do now, not tell me. What modifications in the group? Then I haven't any responsibility to tell you what adjustments within the FIA, each that may be accomplished to the internal structures of the governing body. However, truly not in the rule of thumb ebook exchange. Because it's slowly, however, actually pushing the drivers far from the sport. And after I say drivers, I recognize who's coming for your mind to begin with. Max for display up. The Dutchman has been quite vocal, approximately the FIA's actions, and said that too many guidelines should end up noticeably lousy for the future of the sport. Of course, he's the simplest who's constantly swearing and taken the scenario so far with the pinnacle-taking area in Singapore, even as he called his private press conference outside of the FIA's facilities. But no matter the truth that he is fame, the floor for what he believes is proper. He additionally gave a proposal to the FIA's people do not broadcast the messages. Whilst we use foul language anyhow, they're no longer meant for the enthusiasts. They're meant for the group, the race engineers or the conduct of a sure reason pressure who have been given in the way of a rushing car in a suspicious way to make subjects even extra complicated and controversial. Not all the FIA personnel voted best for the one's moves to be introduced into force, headed into the 2025 season. The record to the BBC has lengthy beyond, to the quantity of pronouncing that the vote for the ones changes to return into pressure, come to be driven through on a snap EV vote, and without a consultation with different stakeholders. The GPDA or the FIA's personal, the use of pressure's fee, that is in reality not an exceptional look for the governing frame, because of the truth. Slowly, however, simply Ben Cam is making it appear to be his very own outdoor, and appearing on his emotions, not primarily based mostly on what's splendid for the game, and the contradiction for Wolff turns into visible. The Austrian stated that he's going to assist the FIA's selections as long as they may be making the game a better area to take part in, whilst you are making alternatives, in the heat of the moment, or without consulting all of us who ought to be consulted on this. Remember, range I doubt that spells actual facts for the racers who are now pressured to take a look at their language. Because of the truth, they will get factors deducted outdoor of the music. The reaction from the GPDA wasn't first-rate each, and whilst talking approximately the consultation manner, which normally takes place most of the governing frame, and the GPDA, Alex WZ, the top of the body, stated no. There was no session, we've got. Study the changes through. The media, there could be room for improvement. That the FIA and the GPDA are running out together, if there may be a evaluation with, for instance, the NFL in America. They do have unionization of the NFL game enthusiasts, and they may be worried within the method. In this case, we are not worried. I'm now not positive if the FIA has concerned their personal FIA, the usage of force rate. This is a few issue I do now not realize approximately, and allows wish that we do no longer have many fines being accrued. The fact is brutal, and the drivers can be coping with number one penalties because of the modern course that Formula One is transferring whether or not. This is controversial sufficient to reason a insurrection within the FIA's inner circles and eliminate salam time. We'll tell, however, one aspect is for positive. The drivers aren't glad with the modifications, and the assist coming from Wolff is not doing any of the people in this sport any pinnacle. It'd be interesting to look how his drivers are going to react to the trade, but traditional given the reality that Russell is the president of the GPDA. I'm advantageous that he and Wolff might have a little speak regarding the ultra-modern remarks of the Austrian company. Primary with all this in mind, do you suspect that the adjustments by means of using the FIA regarding the swearing codex of the drivers are correct? And additional importantly, do you discovered the drivers can be fined on a ordinary foundation due to the disability to conform to the exchange? Permit us to apprehend in the comments below. And in case you're inquisitive about the inner drama in Ferrari, making sure to test out the video that is appearing to your display proper now.